What's up YouTube? I'm Vaughn and this is the Gear channel where we discuss collectibles, hobbies, competitive games from tabletop to video games, and today we are reviewing the Bandai's 1/100 scale Dynames Gundam. Now let me tell you off the bat, this guy just looks amazing. There's really no complaints of it. The only thing that I could say is that compared to Master Grades, the build of it was very simple, but besides that, the aesthetic, the articulation, everything about him is just on point. But we're going to get into a close-up look. But first, friendly reminder to like and subscribe because it really helps the channel and I do really appreciate it. So let's get started. Here is a close-up look. Now, as you can clearly see, the details on him is just amazing. Maybe not the stickers. I don't find that they were that amazing in quality. And I know that some of you might wondering what's with all the PSA stickers from the Seed series. Well, I just added them just so it kind of gave like a little bit of a camouflage look that I wanted, but I did this really long time ago, but haven't really decided I want to repaint it. But for the actual Gunpla itself, it just looks perfect. Now looking at his lower half, you can see that he still retained a lot of that amazing details, especially very accurate to the actual anime. Now I think it's about time we check some articulation. So now we're going to check some articulation and some functions that he can do. So the head is on a ball joint, so it actually looks pretty down and pretty up decent. He does have the cool function that falls pretty much like the anime, so it's kind of hard to do with one hand. But yeah, so he has the camera lens just over there, which looks really cool. Then he has these that could go up and down. Now there's a lot of basic articulation compared to most master grade, especially with the arms and the torso, and especially with mostly all the double O figures. They could all move the chest, but also this is rubber, which I thought was pretty neat that they did. For the actual shield part is actually very cool. So you have to pull them out and then flip it around and do it on both sides. If you don't pull it out, then it just gets stuck. So let's get him all nice and straightened out because it's supposed to be completely covered like the chest, and there you go. So this I thought was really cool. But then for his pistols to actually shoot, you could flip it and flip it like this, and then do the same thing on this side. So flip it, and then you could have his pistols shooting out just over here, which is really sick. So let's put it all back. So we're gonna pull it out, do the same over here, and push it in. There we go. So for the races on a ball joint, so it can move pretty basically. 360 as well. The shield kind of gets into the way, but that's okay. His skirt is on a ball joint, so most of the pieces are actually on ball joints. The legs can move quite well actually. His toe, he doesn't really have a toe bend, so that's like the most that the toe could actually go. And even this little skirt for his feet. Now if we go into the back, we have these that are also on a ball joint, so really cool. You could actually put the batteries in to make this light up, so it does actually have room for that. So very cool, lots of articulations you could do, posability. The joints are actually pretty tight, so that's a good thing. Now I think it's about time we check some accessories and also where we can store it. So first off, we have his two beam sabers, so they look quite cool. Very basic design, I find. To actually have them hold it's quite simple. So all what you're going to need to do is just slide it in, and pretty much friction is pretty much where it holds it. So it's actually pretty tight in it. Now for the actual beams, there's no storage of it, but for the actual handle there is. So we're just going to take this, pull it out, and if you look close over here, you're going to notice that there's a spot that we could just stick it in. Now there's one of them that's kind of hard just because I didn't really clean the nub marks that well. But once it goes in, if it wants, there we go. So it's all set. Now to pull it out is actually very simple. You actually just go here and it lifts like that. So very easy to pull it out. Per in, one of them is kind of tight, but that's because I didn't really clean up the num marks that well. But I thought it was very cool that you could store it like this. So here is his two pistols, and honestly they just look amazing and probably has the coolest storage that you could actually think of, so it's quite cool. Now how he could hold it is quite simple. It's exactly like the beam sabers. He just goes, slides it in, and look at that, it holds it tightly, nothing to worry about. Pull it out, you just slide it out. Now for the storage though is probably the coolest out of everything, because you have these little cases that you just put in like this, and then you just close it up, and it actually goes on the side of his legs. So there's actually a lot of cool poses that you could do if you want him trying to draw them out. So look at that, lifts up a bit so he's all ready, and you could also like tilt it or do like different angles like him holding it. And you actually also get an extra hand that we have right over here that could be him attempting to grab it or anything like that. So there's actually a lot of cool poses that you could do with his pistols. And here is his rifle, and honestly this thing just looks amazing. Now you could tell that it has like a little stand over here, so if you put him laying down, there's some cool poses or displays that you could definitely do. So it just looks amazing. To actually peg it in is quite simple because this is actually on a ball joint, so it actually very helps with holding it on the arm, so it has extra support. So if we actually just grab the arm over here, let's just make some room. So yeah, it slides in and also it pegs. So we're going to go and slide this in, and then we peg it in. So it can actually move around, and it's on a ball joint over here. So it just helps with extra support. So it's definitely a good function to have, especially for specific positions. Now for storage is quite cool. So we just take this piece, okay, and flip it just like that. And if we check at the top, there's actually a little sliding port over here. So if we go towards here, you can see that pretty much all of them just slides. So we just go and slide it in just like that. And that's pretty much the storage. And also you don't have to worry, you can still do the shield mode even with it. So you don't have to remove it just to do this positioning. I know it kind of looks funny with this piece, but it is what it is. If anything, you can rotate it around so it's not the end of the world, but it's up to you. Now I think it's about time we check some size comparison. Here he is next to the high grade Reborn Gundam, and I am still waiting for the day they're going to do a master grade Gunpla. Here he is next to the Master Grade 00 Riser, which was actually our last Gundam 00 review that we did. And finally, here he is next to the Master Grade Banshee, which in all is quite a tall Gunpla, and it's probably one of the worst ones as well. And that's it for 1/100 scale Dynames Gundam. Now if you guys enjoyed today's video, you know what to do. Like and subscribe. And if you want a sneak peek of future products we're planning to review here on the channel, you can follow me on my Instagram, VaughnGear. I'm Vaughn, and this was the Gear Channel.